Morning, guys. My shift at the hospital starts at 11:30, so it's 11:06. I just finished writing another chapter. Keep in mind, this is rough draft. I mean, literally just finished typing it. And I wanted to give you a little sneak peek as to what is happening with Birdie now. Now, this is prior to her moving into the trailer park, prior to her meeting Ruby Ann. Birdie's little secret. To say Birdie was keeping a secret was an understatement for sure. 8 months had gone since Charles, her husband, had passed from this earth. 8 months of planning, 8 months of plotting her sweet revenge was more of what it was. Charles had 2 grown boys who, by all accounts, were good-for-nothing fools. As much as Charlene Lovelace tried to win those boys over with her love, it could not be done. The boys' mother made sure of that, and it was her scheming ways and backstabbing lies that drove a wedge through any relationship Birdie tried to build with them. By the time Charles's ex-wife succumbed to her addiction, the boys were nearing adulthood. When their daddy laid in his deathbed in the intensive care, those 2 were robbing them left and right. Of course, the authorities could not prove it, but within 2 weeks of Charles being admitted to the hospital, Birdie's house had been emptied of anything valuable: guns, electronics, the safe, the furniture, etc. What was left behind was burned to the ground in hopes the boys would get the insurance money too. Of course, they were wrong, dead wrong, because the homeowner's policy was in Birdie's name. At the time, Birdie could not even begin to deal with the tragedy of losing her home. Her focus was on her husband and his rapid decline of health. It wasn't long before Charles slipped into a coma and then into a state of no return. When the time came, Birdie followed his wishes and let him go. The next few weeks were a blur. If it wasn't for the help from her church family, she would not have made it through it. The constant harassment from her so-called stepchildren wanting their fair share of the inheritance, coupled along with dealing with the hospital bills, the arson investigation on the house, finding a place to live, was enough to drive a sane person insane. "Birdie, you can stay here as long as you need to," her close friend and neighbor said. "I know, girl. If I have to see those boys one more time, I'm going to lose my mind," Birdie responded. "Plus, it's too hard to see what Charles and I built laying there in the ashes. I can't stand it. I'm trying not to hate, but," the new widow was saying as her words drifted off into silence. A plan was made, and Birdie drove to the nearest town to not only start over, but to collect her thoughts on what to do next. She had done her best to conceal any inklings of a life insurance policy. She knew she would never get any peace if the boys knew it existed. She would lay low. She would make the world believe it wasn't there, and when the time was right, she would collect it. But first, she would begin her plans for a sweet revenge. I hope you enjoyed it. It just come off the top of my head this morning. I know where the story's going. I just can't wait to share it with you.